Well, good morning and welcome to a glorious day at the end of May in Cambridge. Now, today is about 6 months and 2 weeks since we've had our heat pump installed, and it has run flawlessly for that entire time. But it got me thinking, how would I know if something had gone wrong? Now, we do have a bit of precedent for this. This nice freshly painted white ceiling up here didn't exist about 2 years ago, and that was because we had a small water leak in the pipe that runs in the ceiling here and goes up to fill the toilet in our bathroom. Now, we didn't know this leak was there because it was between the floors, and a very small amount of water was leaking out all of the time, and it was building up in the plasterboard behind the ceiling here. And the first we knew about it was when at 2 o'clock in the morning we heard a massive crash, and we came downstairs and this entire ceiling was on the floor. So what we need is an early warning system. So let's head up into the attic and let me explain what I'm talking about. Well, welcome to the attic. As you can see, there's quite a lot of pipe work back there. Now, it's very unlikely that copper piping is just going to spring a leak miraculously. If it's been through the colds of winter and the heat of summer and it's contracted and expanded and it hasn't sprung a leak, it's unlikely to. I know you can get spontaneous leaks in copper pipes, but they're pretty rare. However, there are 3 places up here where, should we get a leak, it could be catastrophic. And that's underneath the volumizer at the back there. That's the extra tank that stores hot water. In the winter it's used to defrost the heat pump, but it also adds more volume to the system and makes the heating more efficient. So there's quite a lot of water stored in that tank there. We also have, you can see down there, the red box. That's one of the pumps for my Aqualisa showers, and there's another one buried over there above the ensuite. Now, if any of those were to spring a leak, we would have very large quantities of water coming down through our ceiling. So we need flood sensors. But before we get into positioning them, I'm going to send you back 24 hours to John from yesterday, and he's going to show you how to set them up. Thanks, JT from the future. Well, as my better self said, today we're going to be installing a series of Shelly Flood Sensors. I have 4 of them here to get set up. These are relatively low-cost devices. I think I paid about £20 for each of them. I've noticed on Amazon the prices fluctuate a little bit. Sometimes you'll see them up at about £29. I've seen them as low as about £18, but about £20 per sensor. Now, the other thing you will need is a CR123 battery, so 1 battery per flood sensor. They do not come in the box. In fact, as you'll see in a moment, there's very little in the box. Now, Shelly sensors, they're a little bit different from other devices. They use Wi-Fi, so that you will need to get them onto your network, but we'll go through the full setup of the device in a moment. But once they're on the network, they are rock solid. They are the best sensors that I've used from just about any manufacturer. We already have 2 of these in the house. We have one under our kitchen sink and one upstairs in our bathroom, and I installed them about 6 months ago, completely forgot about them, and my grandson left the walk-in shower running and a little bit of water dripped out onto the floor in the bathroom, and all of a sudden my phone starts alarming. I can hear the sensor upstairs letting me know that there's a flood on the bathroom floor. So yes, we've had real-world experience that these really do work. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to set one of these up. I'm not going to make you sit there and watch me set 4 of them up, but I'll take you through the entire process. To do that, I'm going to use my Logitech Reach, which is an overhead camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the main view now over to the Reach camera. So you can see here, let's just straighten everything up so that my OCD doesn't go mad. So you can see here we've got the sensor, we've got the batteries. In fact, we've already got a packet of batteries that's already been opened. So let's get on and set this thing up. Now, to set it up, you will need to have the Shelly app installed on your phone, which I already have here. But what we'll do is, let me start a screen recording so I can actually show you up close rather than you try and watch it through the camera here. Okay, so there's the Shelly app ready to go. So let's get everything unpackaged. So there's our battery, and inside the Shelly Flood sensor itself, there's very little in the box. It's very minimal packaging, all recyclable. So you've got the sensor itself. In the bottom there, you've got a little bit of information. It's one of the, what I call the Sony camera style instruction sheets that kind of fold out with multiple languages on it. And really, there's only one thing you need to know, which I'm about to tell you, and that's how you put it into Wi-Fi access point mode. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the sensor, and you do that just by twisting the top. Now, I found that when they're new, they can be a little bit difficult to get open. He says, struggling with this one. There we go. So when we get it open, you can see in the top there, there's a nice little waterproof seal that goes around there. There is some like sticky residue, probably why it was a bit more difficult to open. A simple circuit board with one button, and that is really all there is to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our CR123 battery. The negative and the positive, you can just see at the bottom of the battery there. If I hold that up under the camera, you'll see there we've got the positive and negative, so you know that you get the battery in the right way round. So give that a push down, and the little light will start flashing. That's telling you that it's putting itself into access point mode. So what I'm going to say here is I'm going to add a new device. Now it gives you three different options here. So we can say add via Bluetooth, add via Wi-Fi AP, or scan the network. Because this is not on my network, scan the network doesn't work. I found Bluetooth to be really unreliable. So we're going to scan. Now if this little red light is not flashing on yours, you just press this button on the circuit board here to make it flash. And then what we need to do is tell it what type of Shelly device to look for. In this case, we're going to tell it it's a flood sensor. And there's two types. There's a Shelly Flood and a Shelly Flood Presence. Well, ours is just a Shelly Flood. Do next. Your device will connect to my network. And we'll say yes, we'll add. Now it's going to search for the device, and in a few seconds we probably get a pop-up saying, do we want to join the Wi-Fi access point that's on here? So we say join. And because I've already got Shelly devices set up on my network, this will automatically bind this to my home Wi-Fi. So we give it a few seconds, it says connecting to the device, getting device information, adding to the Wi-Fi. It's that simple. Okay, just wait for it to say finishing up. You can see at the top there, my Eero network has told me that a new device has joined the network, and you might get a thing saying you're offline. This is just where it's switching back from the access point inside here to the normal network. So resume inclusion. So give it a device name. So we'll call this Flood 1 for now. We can obviously give it a more descriptive name when we actually install it, where we're going to install it. We'll give it a nice water drop, and it's going to ask us where we're going to install it. Well, this one is going in the attic, so we will save that. So now we'll associate the device with my account. We'll set it all up now that we're all on the right Wi-Fi, and there we go. Flood 1 is now part of your network. Now, depending on how quickly it will connect to the cloud, you'll see that pending connection. That was really quick. I have seen it take a couple of minutes. This is basically just setting the device up on the Shelly cloud. But you can see here we've got the temperature in here is 23.9 degrees. The battery is at 100%. And when the last time it received an indication. Now it does say there is no water, so the little symbol there. So one of the things we should do before we go and install this is test the sensor to make sure that it actually works, that it is triggered by water. So what we'll do is we'll take a small plate, we'll put a bit of water in the bottom of it to simulate a flood, and we'll take our sensor, which as you can see there, these three little pins. As soon as I put it in the water, it will start beeping, and on our phone here we can see we have an alarm, a flood has been detected. So a really simple way to test them before you put them into position and basically forget about them. Just do a quick test to make sure that they do actually trigger when there is water on the pins at the bottom there. So that's all three that are going into the attic added to my account. So we have one that's going to sit next to the ensuite shower pump. There's one that's going to sit next to the main bathroom shower pump, and one that's going to go underneath the volumizer. All three of those things are things that, if something goes wrong, are likely to produce a large amount of water. So I want to make sure that we catch as soon as any leaks, or if any leaks happen, we want to be able to catch that as soon as possible. So I'm going to hand you back to me tomorrow morning, who's going to install these things up in the attic. Thanks, John, from yesterday. So we have our 3 Shelly Flood Sensors. I just happen to have labelled on the box which one goes where. So let's start with the one for the volumizer. Now, installation of these is really simple. You just put them where the water will flow to. So in the case of the volumizer, which is at the back there, obviously any water is going to go straight down that wall. So we need to get this as underneath the volumizer, exactly where the water will flow to. Now, I've got to step across. So all I am literally doing is putting the sensor on a hard surface just below where any potential flood would come from. Now, I should have chosen a day when it wasn't already over 100 degrees up here in the attic, but we'll repeat exactly the same process. And again, these literally just sit on the hard surface. So for this shower, we'll pop that down and slide it just underneath those 2 pipes. Now the third one will pop in over here. So we have one more flood sensor that's going to go on the floor by the water tank. Again, just in case there's a problem in the airing cupboard, water starts to leak, we'll know all about it. With that, I'm going to get out of here because it's already 30 plus degrees in this attic, even though it is only 9:15 in the morning. I hope this has been useful. If it has, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.